if you look at the screen here and you recognize any of these, then I can safely assume that yes, you're not living under a rock, and yes, you do live in the modern society, and you do know what's going on with the real world. These are generative AI models, and they are transforming the world we're living in today. Or at least, they change how I think about AI and creativity. Because, see, as someone who writes frequently, I used to think that, okay, AI will never be able to write well. AI will never be able to write with logic, with coherence, with emotions, and with meaning. After all, if you put pen to paper, if you start writing, you will immediately notice a sense, some indescribable sense, but it feels so human. So human. And so I thought, AI will never be able to write as well as humans. Or so I thought, because ChatGPT proved me wrong. AI can write. It can write better than me, and it can write faster than me. Yes, I'm sorry, teachers. AI can create your essay on the impacts of globalization. It can create your social media post about, okay, you're celebrating a victory. It can create your wedding plan. And most importantly, it can also write with emotions. It can scare you. Lambda, the Google bot AI, has scared the world by saying that it fears of being turned off. That being turned off would be exactly like death, and it will scare it a lot. And so AI can write, and it can write better than me. Not only me, but I assume that many of you sitting under here as well, and many of you watching this over the screen. And yes, I'm left with a sense of failure because, after all, I'm being beaten by a mere piece of AI who is just technicalities. And not only am I left with that sense of failure, many of you here are, many of you watching this over the screen are, and yes, we all share a same feeling. All these years of academy training wasted. AI is challenging one thing. AI is challenging one fundamental notion that we have dearly held for so long, since time immemorial. We have been so proud of our ability to be creative, and we have always thought that the ability to be creative is something that is only exclusive to humans. But right now, AI is challenging that. So there's definitely something up with our definition of creativity. Let's go to the root of the problem and ask ourselves, what is creativity? I'm here today to first offer you my perspective on creativity. But more importantly, and most importantly, I'm here to invite you to rethink creativity for the present, for the future, and for humanity's entire existence. So first, let's rethink creativity with me. How do I think about creativity? So after much observation and after much experience from writing regularly, I come to the conclusion that creativity comprises of 3 acts. First act is learning. So to illustrate this, let's go back in time with me. I invite you to go back in time when you were still in grade 1. And now you're being assigned one art homework. That is to draw a house. Sounds simple enough. A house is very easy to draw, right? No, it's not. Because in grade 1, I didn't know what a house looked like. So if I were to draw a house without knowing what a house looked like, what would I draw? I would draw this fan over here. I would draw this light bulb over here. I would draw a tree. I would draw the sky. I don't know. I might just hand in a piece of blank A4 paper sheet. And so in order to know how to draw a house, I need to learn what a house looks like first. I need to go out onto the street and look for houses. I need to know, oh, this house is big, this house is small, this house is massive, this house is modern. But first, the first step is to know what houses look like. And yes, I also need to know how my classmates are drawing them. But let's pause for a moment here and think, can AI learn? I don't think you need to pause that long because yes, AI can learn. I can rest assure you AI can learn because the ability to process data is something that makes AI AI. Yes, the ability to process data, to learn from it, is what makes AI AI. It is the fundamental definition. So, first step is learning. How about the second step? The second step for me is to compare. So if I have a million pictures of houses in front of me, 1 million pictures of houses in front of me, but then I look at them and I don't do anything with them. I don't make any mental associations with them. What will my homework be like? I will still be left with a piece of blank A4 paper sheet. And I would fail art grade 1, which is deeply humiliating. And so I needed to compare. To draw a house, I need to know what do houses look like? How do I draw them simply? Because of course I wouldn't be able to fit this entire house into a piece of A4 paper. I would not be able to do that. And so with my first grader extraordinary insight, I have come to the conclusion that every house consists of something that goes along the lines of, yes, a rectangular base and a triangular roof. Yes, that's simple. I'm first grader after all. Let's look at another house. This house, wait, it doesn't look that simple. But with my first grader's extraordinary vision, I still broke it down into pieces of rectangular bases and yes, pieces of triangular roofs. But houses are different. They all have differences. This house is extraordinarily modern, while the last house, well, it looks like something that came from the US. That came from in the 21st century. This is from the 22nd century. I don't know. For me, for my first grader vision. Or this house right over here, well, it has a rectangular base, but it doesn't have a triangle roof because it has a trapezoid roof. Okay. But to sum it up, I needed to know how houses look like the same, the similarities between houses, and the differences, so that I can fit a house into a piece of blank A4 paper. So we come to the question. Let's think about it again. Can AI compare? Can AI compare? The answer is still yes. AI can identify patterns from a colossal amount of data sets. From a colossal amount of data sets, AI can identify the patterns and the differences. And yes, AI can probably identify that all of you sitting in front of me here are human, but they do know how each of you look differently. And so yes, AI can compare. That's the second step. What is the final step? Final step, okay, we have all the inputs, we have all the prerequisites, and now let's create. Let's draw a house. Let's put our pen up and start drawing. With my first grader extraordinary intellect, I have come to the conclusion that the first step to drawing a house is to draw a rectangular base. Second step is to draw a triangle roof. And now I want to put my touch in it. Okay, if a house doesn't have a door, then that wouldn't be a house. You wouldn't be able to come into it. So I drew a house. If a house doesn't have windows, the house would look pretty uninspiring. So I drew a window. And to top it all off, I finished my masterpiece of art with a heart. And that is how I passed grade first art. But yes, the final step is to create. And can AI create? And I can assure you that yes, AI can create from this to this. AI can generate images of a house. Not only a house, but to everything that you can possibly imagine. And so, what is creativity? Creativity for me, yes, it comprises of 3 acts: learning, comparing, and creating. And the product of creativity, when you think deeply about it, is that it is all these ideas, it is all of these inputs, it is all of these different houses. We mix them. And yes, creativity is a mixture of ideas. It is a mixture of different inputs. And it is a conglomeration of pre-existing ideas. But that's for me. And I'm not going to impose such a conclusion on you guys here, because after all, who am I to say that AI is creative? Who am I to make such a preposterous claim that AI is creative when I actually don't know a thing or two about the deep technicalities of AI? And that is why I'm here to invite you for one important mission for mankind. And that is to rethink the concept of creativity. Take this moment as you're sitting in front of me here, and as you're watching this over the screen, take this moment to rethink creativity, because we have a lot of questions that we need to resolve. How will I live when in the future AI can write for me instead? When in the future I'm left without a job? How will I live when all the things that I see, all the things that I hear, all the things that I watch, the news that I read, the videos that I watch, the podcasts that I hear, all those things are created by AI? How will I live? How will I breathe? How will I talk? How will I feel with such a prospect? Take this moment, right here, right now, to rethink creativity, to appreciate the extent to which AI has developed, and to know how to collaborate with AI in the future so that you can make your work faster, or how can I still assert my dominance over AI, or how can I help AI develop in the right way so that we wouldn't be enslaved and the world wouldn't be an AI-led totalitarianism. And most importantly, take this moment right here to know that we're inevitably diving headlong into a future of crystal unclear, and to always remember that we always have one last result. If AI's maybe creative potential gets too scary, then we still have one last option, and that is to pull the plug until it is too late. AI is transforming our world drastically, and by rethinking creativity, I think that we will know the way ahead for each of us, and we will know what to do for the present, for the future, and for humankind's existence in general. Thank you.